Hi guys. All right, so today in math, I'm going to go over today's the 6th for Wednesday. So I took the week 18 math responses. I made this one for Monday and Tuesday. I have to sneeze. Excuse me. I used this for Monday and Tuesday only. And because we reshuffled some things around. So the math responses for Wednesday, Friday are on this separate document now. So for today, tomorrow, and Friday, go to this one that says Wednesday through Friday. So today, let me get my book. All right, so today we started talking about remainders. And so here we used our beans, and it says Erica and her two friends, this is on page 311. Erica and her two friends are playing a game of dominoes, and there are 19 dominoes in the set. Erica wants each player to receive the same number. Can she divide them equally among the three players? So here, let me count out 19. So that's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. All right, so here's 19. So what we're doing is we've got Erica, her two friends. All right, so we've got 19 dominoes, and she's splitting them equally among three players. So we're doing 19. Straighten that up. 19 divided by 3. And what that means is we're going to take 19, and I'm going to picture like this is one friend, this is another, this is another. So there's the 3. And I'm going to take this 19 total, and I'm going to pull out 3, and I'm going to say, okay, you get 1, you get 1, you get 1. And I'm going to keep doing that repeated subtraction where I'm taking away from my total and putting it to each of the people. And I'm going to keep passing this out till I can't make any more equal groups. 1, 2, 3. All right, so each of them now, if I count, this one has 6, this one has 6, and this one has 6. And there's this one left over. And so we went ahead and we named this one that's left over. This is called a remainder. And a remainder was in our total. It's one that I can't pass out. Like I can't give it to this friend because then the numbers wouldn't be equal anymore. So the remainder is the amount that cannot go equally. When I was passing those out to those friends, this one can't go in there equally because I would need 2 more to each give them all the same. So this is my remainder. And so we looked at that problem and identified what that is. We also took some notes. And so we said, remember, division is, and we're going to keep adding to this a little bit each day. So we started just with division. So division is that operation that finds how many things are divided equally into groups. And so you can pause the video, make sure you get that this pink part in your notes. And so what that was, when we divided this, that's what we were doing. If we were asked how many each friend gets, that answer is 6. Each friend would get 6. Now the full answer, since we had that one that was left over, remember each of these had 6 in them. And then there was that one left over. So the way that I would write this all the way out to show that a remainder is I would put R for remainder and then 1. And so we did some more. That was all we did in our notebook. So let me put this away. We did some more in the book on page 312 at the bottom here. So we did 29 divided, let me write it on here so it'll be bigger. We did 29 divided by 4. And here we were trying to move, eventually we need to move away from the beans. We need to be able to be strong enough in our multiplication facts that we can think about these groups in our head and not have to use manipulatives like that. Okay, so we need to kind of show some progression of moving away from that. But if you still need them, that's fine. So if you still need the beans, you would take 29 beans and you would make 4 groups and you'd see how much is in each group. We can also do it with skip counting. So if I'm talking about groups of 4, that would be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28. And then 3 more or 4 more would be 32. So here's me skip counting by, let me move it over. Here's me skip counting by 4. So if I have 29, I can make 1 group, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups. Now I can't go to the 8th group because I don't have enough. I only have 29 for my total. I can't go to 32. So I was able to go all the way to 28. Well, if I'm at 29, if I have 29, let's say 29 of those beans, and I make 7 groups and I get that adds all the way up to 28, then that means there's going to be 1 remainder left over. So 7 remainder 1. All right, let's do another one. So 34 divided by 5. I'm thinking how many groups of 5 can I make with 34? So I know 1 group would be 5, 2 groups, that would put me at 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So let's see, I can't get to 35. Cross those out, that's too much. So I can make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups. That only takes me to 30, but I had 34, so 34 minus 30 gives me that remainder of 4. So 6 remainder 4. So again, with the beans, you can count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Make those groups of 6. And you can see there's 1, 2, oops, did I count wrong? Hold on. Did I not count? That's 6, 12. Oh, I'm doing by 5s, that's why. Okay, hold on, I messed up. All right, let me do it over here smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. I looked at this 6 and looked at it wrong, so I ignore what I just did, so I apologize. I need to have 5 in a group. So here's 5, that's 1 group, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, there we go. So there's my 6 groups. And here's my 4 extra that can't make that group of 5. I hope I did not confuse you. I apologize. I was making 6 in a group, doing it wrong. All right. So however you do it, recognizing that we can pull those groups out of our total, and these parts here that do not make complete, like I can't make a group here. That's the thing that we were practicing today, that this is the remainder. Okay, so we put an R and then a 4, or an R and a 1, whatever the leftover is. And then we spent some time today talking about how this number, this remainder, should not be the same or more than this number here that you're dividing by. If so, then that means you could pull out an extra group. So this number should always be smaller than the number you're dividing by. Okay? All right, so we did that. And then those answers, you did page 315. So those answers go on this document here, the Monday that's in Google Classroom, math responses Wednesday through Friday. That goes here. So we're either doing the even or the odd. So if you're doing odd, you're going to do 1 to 15 here and skip those evens, or the even numbers are here. So if you chose to do even, just highlight those and take those out and just put your even numbers. If you did odd, highlight those, take them out, and just leave the odd numbers there. Alrighty, so that was math today. Then for reading, we went to here, and today we read page 9. So this is talking about what's causing windy weather. So we read this article, and then students broke off into groups and they worked on the cause and effect. And then tomorrow we'll start page 12. So it was just 9 through 11 that we did together. And then for independent work, they worked on, let me see, oh, there it is, the Dawn of the Donut. So here, again, to go over, you're recording and doing the activities. So you're recording yourself reading the story and the activities that are throughout, so cause and effect. You've got placing commas, and then some comprehension questions at the end. So that's your independent work for the week for reading. And again, make sure you're recording yourself reading that. And then for writing today, okay, sorry, someone came to the door real quick. All right, so today in writing, we went over what we had done yesterday with, or not yesterday, but Monday with AWUBUS. So again, just as a reminder, AWUBUS stands for after, although, as, when, while, until, because, before, if, and since. So you have that opener. There has to be a comma somewhere because this opener is not a complete sentence. And then you have a complete sentence that follows after the comma. So today we practice making some of our own. So if you go to AWUBUS right here, so the first couple pages, again, are just the rules. So here, if you look at this example, after is that first, what that first A stands for. So after I ate pizza, that's the opener, comma, I went to the football game. So it has to appear at the beginning of the sentence. It has the comma, and that separates it, kind of offsets it from the rest of the sentence. So I went to this part right here, I went to the football game. That's a complete sentence because it has the subject and the verb, and it's a complete thought. And so this part right here, after I ate pizza, if I just came up to you and I said, after I ate pizza, you'd be like, yeah, what, like what? So you set it off with that comma and then you complete your thought there. All right, here you can have a sentence that has those words in the middle or towards the end. That does not signal the comma. Okay, so if the AWUBUS is in the middle of the sentence, you don't need the comma. So I went to the football game after I ate pizza, no comma needed. All right, so today we looked at some examples, and down here, all right, so we did this part here where we were moving the commas where they go. So you can click it and you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move them. So until today, she had never eaten pumpkin pie. So until today, comma, she had never eaten pumpkin pie. So you're just moving those commas where they belong. So we did those pages and we stopped at 8. So 8, we were writing some of our own. So before I go to school, you can double click it here. I brush my teeth. What we said, period. So here you're just finishing after the comma, you're putting that complete sentence. A complete sentence, remember, it has to have a subject, verb, and be a complete thought. So you can't just say, before I go to school, brush my teeth. You have to have that subject, I, or whatever. You're using I here, so I guess I would fit best there. All right, so we did 1 through 5, and then they finished 6, 7, and 8 were to be completed. So tomorrow we'll jump. You don't need to turn this in yet. Tomorrow we'll jump on and we will do some more practice on that. So keep that there. And then the other part was for our composition, week 18 writing composition. We went here and we opened up this. And our prompt is to write about something you have learned and explain why it's important to you. So I gave everybody some time to write. I spent my whole lunch going back and looking at them. And there was some things where I was kind of like pulling out my hair because I'm like, guys, these big ideas, like these big things that I've taught you about, like what's important in a paper, we have to have them. Like we can't be missing these big things. So later, I'm going to go over it now, but I went over this later during our intervention time because after what I saw the first go around, I was just like, oh, okay, we're still missing. Like, I don't know if we just forgot over the break. I don't know, but we have to have a good understanding of what is needed in a paper. So some of them were perfect. They were just fine, no problems at all. Some we're really missing some big pieces that I don't want you to miss. So I rewrote the prompt. So it says, write about something you have learned and explain why it was important to you. And we talked about the big key pieces that are here is we're writing about something you have learned, number 1. And number 2, we have to explain why it's important to you. Okay, so 2 parts. So some of you were saying, like, let's say, for example, I kept using the example with soccer. And the thing you learned is soccer. But you never actually said anywhere that soccer is something that you've learned. You just started talking about soccer. So you start talking about why it's fun and how you are on a team and how much you like to play it. And you start telling me the rules and all the things about soccer, but you never once are specific to saying, this is something I have learned. Okay, so you really want to make that connection. Then, and that gets done in your introduction. Then the second part, this is the most important part. This is, you have to explain why it's important to you. Some of you, I read your whole introduction, I read your body part, and not once did you use the word important. Nowhere is there a connection to the prompt. You have to use some of these words and be specific and connect it to this, okay? If you go and you write a whole paper about soccer and never once do you say that you learned how to play soccer and you tell why it's important to you, you have a 0 score. Doesn't matter how great your paper is about soccer. You didn't write to the prompt. Okay. If you start talking about something I learned is soccer, and then you never, ever, ever give any other information about why it's important to you or anything like that, you're probably going to have a 1. Now, a 2 has the information. You say, I learned soccer. You say it's important to me because it's fun. And it's very, very basic. You're severely lacking explanation. You'll probably get a 2. This is where we want to shoot for 3s and 4s. 3s and 4s, smiley face. Threes and fours have details. They do everything here. The paper is specifically about something you learned, and it specifically explains why it was important to you, but it goes into detail. Okay, it's got everything. All right, so here, introduction, you're going to introduce this idea that I learned to play soccer. It needs to be at least 3 to 4 sentences. Your body, you're going to explain why it was so important to you. So, learning to play soccer is important to me because it taught me teamwork. In soccer, I learned how to work with others. That's important to me because later on in my job, I'm going to have to work with others, and I want to make sure that I'm prepared. That's going into details. It's not just saying, I saw this a lot to where it was like, soccer is important to me because it taught me teamwork, comma, sportsmanship, comma, and it's fun. That's a shopping list. You're just listing reasons. You do not list reasons. You say one reason, you grow it and expand on it, and you tell me all about it before you go on to your other reason. Each reason should be 3 to 4 sentences. Another reason learning to play soccer is important to me because I learned to have good sportsmanship. That's one sentence. You're going to go into detail and give me some more and tell me more about how it's important that I learned sportsmanship. This one, you can stop at 2. If you have one more, 3 is fine. 2 to 3 reasons. Another reason it's important to me is because I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of friends. I got some really close families that, my family's close to now, whatever. But you're not just saying it's important because it's fun. You are growing that idea and explaining what you mean. Then with your conclusion, if you go back here to your prompt page over here, I gave some reminders about how to do a conclusion. So a conclusion wraps up a report. It uses that transitional phrase. So you could say, as you can see, then I'm going to say how I feel. So as you can see, there are lots of things that I have learned from playing soccer. Then I'm going to repeat the main things that I said in my reasons. I have learned teamwork, sportsmanship, and how to have fun. That's the place that you can list those things because you've already talked about them in detail. You don't need to talk about them in detail again. You're just reiterating what you said before. You can end it with a wish or hope. I hope you find a sport or an activity where you can learn as much as I have by playing soccer. Period. The end. Okay? So when you're going through this, again, make sure that you are paying attention to the prompt, what you're supposed to write about, and that you have these words, something you've learned, explaining why it's important, like important and learned. Those should be very clear in your paper. So today is Wednesday. We worked on the body. Tomorrow we'll work more on the conclusion, and then Friday we'll do a lot of revising, editing, and finish up. So make sure yesterday you were supposed to start it off with the introduction. Make sure you've got up to here so that we can jump into the conclusion tomorrow. And then that wrapped up writing. And then let me get out of this. And then for science today, we let's see, STEM scopes. Let me open it real quick.
Career Connections.
All right, watch this.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I'm a meteorologist. I forecast the weather, and I take the picture of what's happening with the weather now and predict what's going to happen in the future, and then I share all that information on television. Everything about the weather is really learning about cycles. For example, the water cycle. It's just the movement of water from the ocean as it's sitting there when the sun's rays heat the ocean and turns that water into water vapor, which is something you can't see that then floats up in the air. That water vapor moves with the wind and eventually will run into ground or mountains or even just any type of land, and then it turns into rain when you get enough water vapor together. That rain comes down in the form of water again, hits the ground, runs back into rivers and streams, heads back down to the ocean, and that whole cycle will start over again. I collaborate a lot with the meteorologists on the national scale to improve the technology for meteorology. So the challenge is to bring new technologies into the science and then be able to use that to share the weather story with people at home, which will give them more meaning. If you're interested in pursuing meteorology or any of the sciences, there's so many wonderful sites where you can learn more about the models and the technology behind everything that we do in forecasting. And then also, it's really simple. You can go outside and watch the clouds.
All right, so we watched about that meteorologist and his job, and then we went and read about Dan, the meteorologist, and that is in Seesaw. So when you go to activities, week 18 science, Dan, the meteorologist, there is a 3-page here where you're reading. And so you're reading about who he is, what he does, where he works, tools that he uses, different instruments that they use to get all kinds of data and everything, why it's important to be accurate, and how he feels about his job. Then you have questions. So when you go over here to Google Classroom, Science Reading Dan the Meteorologist, they have the same title. Click on this. There are questions here where you can go click the web link, and there's a quizzes with some questions from the reading. So make sure you read it first and then do the questions. Then for social studies today, we looked at the Wednesday for there, so you can click on that and complete that. Make sure your make sure your social studies from yesterday got done as well while we were doing the map testing. And that, let me double check, make sure. I'm still missing a few of the writing from Flipgrid. Make sure you can go back on that. People have added to it, so you can go back on and watch others what they have posted. So I'll keep this link here for the week, so you can keep checking and see what everybody was up to for the holiday. All right, guys, hope you had a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.